We turn now to number 10 in our series on God's love and justice. This is entitled Rules of Engagement, and there's a fascinating concept. In this cosmic conflict that we looked at, particularly last week, what are the rules of engagement? And do the parties always follow those rules of engagement? You see, you have God on the one hand, who, let us simply say it this way, is constrained to do what is good and true and right, to tell the truth and so on, because that's who he is. And then you have the devil on the other side, who uses lies and dissimulation and deception and can do all kinds of things which are completely out of character with what God would say is true and right. So there's that to consider. Basic question is, what are the rules of engagement? And we're given some material there from Scripture. You have Daniel 10, Revelation 13, John 12, John 14, Mark 9, 1 John 3, 8. But I think the best is where we begin here in the biblical material in terms of Job, and that, I don't want to call it experiment because that sounds almost callous, but the investigation of Job, because it's God who initiates that and says, have you considered my servant Job? He acts, he does what is right, he's a good person, and so on. And the devil says, only because of what you give him. And that is where this, I can't think of a better word than experiment, but demonstration maybe. That's where this demonstration begins of what Job is really like. What is the reason for him doing what he does? And you know that the devil is initially allowed to take everything from him, his family, his possessions, and so on. But God says, rules of engagement, no hurting of his body, no attacks on him physically, on his health. Comes back and they review the situation, and the devil says, well, it's because you don't let me really have a go at him. And God says, okay, you can do that, but don't kill him. Rules of engagement again. And the devil does that. And it seems that Job never really knows that this is what's happening. He's not aware he's part of this demonstration of who he is. He certainly starts to complain about it. If I only could talk to God, I could resolve this. We could work out what's going on. I haven't done anything that I really see as being against God. He's not claiming he's perfect. And when his three friends show up, they're basically saying, no, you have to have done something wrong for you to be experiencing this, because in their eyes, any kind of misfortune or illness, any kind of sickness was due to God's punishment, something that still was believed even in Jesus's day. You remember the disciples coming to ask Jesus, this man that was born blind, was that because of his sin or his parents' sin? And a lot of questions about that. And Jesus says, no, that's not the deal at all. That's not what's happening here. But the rules of engagement in the case of Job show us that there is a limited frame in which the devil can work. God is obviously limiting himself too. It would have served no purpose for Job to die. He is demonstrating that he follows God because of the fact that whatever God says and does is truly right, and he identifies with that. He agrees with God. And I think as we think of the rules of engagement in our own lives, to what degree does God allow things to happen to us? To what degree is the devil permitted to tempt and to attack and so on? We're told that we're not given any more burdens or temptations more than we can bear. Sometimes doesn't seem like that, does it? But God, I believe, does know what he's doing. He's sharing his good, what do I want to say, philosophy, his character, his way of running the universe, demonstrating that that's the only way, the only good way to run it, and allowing the devil to demonstrate through all these rules of engagement that what he says is a lie and does not lead to the kind of life that anybody would want.